and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. Now, this isn't the video that I was intending to be making. In fact, I'm remaking something. I made a video that was supposed to be up before the end of March and, well, it didn't happen. I made the video, I just didn't get it up. So I've scrapped that one and we're doing this one instead. Now this is going to be partly stuff that I was covering in that last video, in that I'm going to show you how certain projects turned out and progressed, and just generally catch up with you a little bit. So I'm not sure how much making is actually going to be in this video, and I'm hoping to keep it fairly short, but let's get on with it. I'm going to start with my birthday table. Now, my birthday was Easter weekend, and as someone who has shared their birthday with Easter, literally on the day, certainly with the weekend, quite a few times over the years, I wanted to include my birthday in my Easter decorations. So instead of getting out my Easter table topper, I made a birthday one. Now, I did actually show off some of these bits in a bit more detail in the video that was supposed to have come out before this one, but it just didn't seem right showing it after the event, especially when I've got a little birthday haul to add in. Anyway, I did my usual variation on a tiered tray. This one is supposed to be based on trays being held up by wine glasses. If you've seen that be done, it was a big thing for a while on decor sites, and I used some clear push pins so it looked like I got something glass in between. Added a cake, a couple of things that said happy birthday. That one, yeah, that's stacked up confetti pieces, and I'm still finding the stars. I needed something to go on this side, and when I saw some happy birthday confetti, I thought, perfect, I can make another little happy birthday sign. And I bought it, and it was in a little bag. And I put it in my shopping bag and brought it home. And I got several things at the time to bring upstairs to the craft room. So I moved everything into one of my shopping bags, carried it upstairs, and then proceeded to throw everything onto my chair. It was at this point that I realised that the packet with the confetti in had got a split in the side. And whilst the happy birthdays hadn't escaped, the little silver stars that were with it had. They were all inside my shopping bag, all over my chair, all over the floor, and I'm still finding them. I hoovered everywhere, I cleaned, and I'm still finding silver stars. So yeah, great fun. But anyway, there it is, my little birthday table topper, done in purple because it's my favourite colour, and I used copper for this one because I'd been using silver quite a bit and I wanted to change, and I like it, and I will save it now for next year. So yeah, happy birthday to me, belated. Now, I was quite lucky in that I did get something miniature related for my birthday. And what I got were these. Now, these books are from Petite Properties. They're written by the lovely Bee at Petite Properties, and they show you how to make your own 1/48 scale furniture. And they are quite comprehensive. I've not had a go at making anything yet, but I probably will. Will I make something exactly as it showed in the book? I think you know me better than that. But they'll certainly inspire me. I have already tried to make some pieces and I feel quite vindicated now, because it says in there that sometimes it's about tricking the eye into thinking that something's more complicated than it is. So yeah, but I got both of those, part 1 and part 2, and I'm really glad, because you know I'm a bit of a saddo like that. So they will hopefully inspire me to fill in the gaps when I need them with pieces of my own invention. Yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Pieces of my own invention. The other thing I've been working on, or trying to, has been my little N-gauge diorama. Now, I've removed everything that isn't stuck down, which includes the building. I do want to put a light into the building so that it could be lit up at night. And I did put a hole through. It's actually drilled all the way through a while back. And I've decided I am putting a light in. Figured out how it's going to be done. I just need a little bit of help with the actual doing it. What I have been doing though is I've been trying to add a little bit more detail. My landscape was rather flat, as one can imagine, because I just used the flock. Now what I've actually started to do is I've started to work on the trailer here. Hopefully I've got that in shot. That's better. Yeah, I'm gonna have to move a little bit closer and stuff like that. Now if you can see, if I can get the trailer into a better sort of focus, I have actually dirtied this up. I put some of a brown wash on there to try and make it look dirty, bit aged, and it worked. And I wanted it to look a bit overgrown around it. Now if I turn it round and turn it over, you can hopefully see that I've got some foliage now growing around it. Now these are just bits of embroidery thread. I'm going to just sit it round so you can see that I've been adding bits all around it. Certainly lots of sort of dead looking bits under the trees. Aha, is that better? Yeah. Now what I've done with that is I've took some embroidery thread, the 6-strand embroidery thread that you buy for cross stitch and the like. Now I'll pop this back down. Smiles from the camera. And what I did is I divided that into its 6 strands. It's this sort of stuff. And then I have split those strands down to their individual threads. It's not perfect, but it does for what I want. And I've also started adding a few bits of some homemade foliage material, which has given me some great fun, and I may still have some green on my fingers from doing it. But I'll explain about that in a minute. Now that is not, well, the one colour, the colour that's closest to my finger now, isn't the most ideal colour for this. I've actually done that for something in particular, and we'll be adding some dry brush paint onto it once it's in place. But in this one, I just wanted that sort of pop of a brighter green. And you do sometimes get those greens that look like they shouldn't be natural in the garden situation, and that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. I've been working on aging the building and the other bits that are going to go in here. So hopefully the next time you see it, it'll be a bit closer to done. I do want it done now. I've kind of had enough. I want to move on to different things, even different things in a different scale. But this has been on the cards for about a year now, and I've had enough. So yeah, I've made progress on this. I've got to add some more sort of foliage to make it look a bit more overgrown. Overgrown is definitely good with the situation that I'm trying to replicate. And yeah, probably going to have to leave a few spaces because there's a couple of things that I would like to add that I haven't been able to source. So I'm going to have to leave a couple of gaps for a couple of things. But that aside, I'm moving on with that and I want to get it done. Moving on to my homemade foliage material. This is coloured foam. Now, I have seen online where people recommend that you use the kind of sponge that you use for washing a car. I hadn't got one of those. I just got an ordinary sponge. And between these two, this was one sponge that I split up. This one, the sort of, as I call it, less natural looking colour, I'm going to use on my tree house. But I want to then add some dry brushing to it, so it's going to look different anyway. There's far more than I need here. But I'm going to stick this on to the actual bits of greenery that are there at the moment to give it a bit more dimension. This was my idea when I started doing this, was I wanted to get back to the tree house. I wanted to get back to the tree house, but I want to finish other things and not enough time in the day. When I'd done what I thought was enough for that one project, I'd got a chunk of sponge left. So I mixed up some darker paint. And in terms of colour, I prefer this. I think this could definitely be used more for foliage. These pieces are bigger, but they do split apart quite well. There's a few light bits in these because it was light green. Now, I didn't get the mix right with either of these. Now, the idea is that you mix acrylic paint to get the colour you want, and then you add water. This one I added too much water, this one I didn't really add enough, which is why I've got a few bits that are coming up pale. But I think I can make it work. That's my thought, is I can make it work. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find something to put this in, other than the pot that I mixed the paint in and mixed it in, because that is a mess. And I'm going to use it on some of my projects where I need some foliage. Now, I'm probably going to use some on the base of the treehouse. Might use some of that, and again, add some acrylic paint. That's going to be mostly for my treehouse. This is going to be for the treehouse and other stuff. And I think if I was going to make it again, I'd actually be a bit more cautious in the amount that I made, because I think this is going to last me a really long time, especially if I'm using it at smaller scales, because yeah. Oh, and that bit's still wet. A week. This has been a week and I am still finding bits where it's wet. Yeah, it's not been the best thing. I've certainly been green fingered this week. Now, this is the other house project, not project. It's a house that I've owned for 4.5 years, and it was bought for a specific purpose, but then it was decided it wasn't needed, and it's been in storage, not the best conditions, ever since. It also wasn't in the best of conditions when I bought it, and it came from a smoking household, and you could tell by the way it smelt, which is why it wasn't initially given over to its original purpose. Now, this was bought for a small one and was going to replace a doll's house that was about the same size as the actual pink house on this one. But of course, this one's got a basement, which was hopefully going to make it a bit more acceptable because the house wasn't big enough. However, it was quickly decided that it wasn't required because we wanted Sylvanian houses instead. Yeah, so Sylvanian families won, the doll's house got evicted. So, as you can see, I've already attacked the outside, both at the top and at the bottom, because the paper was hanging off. I'm going to remove the rest of that paper at some point. There's actually some on the back which the paper had already been ripped and it had been coloured in and had bits of tiles drawn on it. I mean, you can see there's a definite line in the paper there where it was overlapping and things like that. So it needs something doing to it. And all of the paper on the pavement and on the front of the basement was hanging off. So, aside from that, it's a pretty sturdy property. I think it was probably built with the intention of being for a younger collector, because the windows are just cut out from the panels. You know, there's no actual windows and stuff like that. Now, the basement is a bit of a disappointment because there's a door, but there's no way to access it. Now, I have removed this piece, excuse me. You can see now why I normally use a tripod and or camera stand, because I'm not very good with this, but I removed this piece because it was just glued to the pavement paper. And then there's just some pins that held it in place to see if I'd got room to put in a staircase down there. What I may do, I'm going to need to put that down, is actually cut out some of this and make a bigger area to put a staircase, and maybe on the other side so I can put in a little bit of garden or something in the future if I decide to keep it. I've had a couple of ideas about what I could do with it, which is why it has stood around for, as I say, over 4.5 years and wasn't moved on quite quickly. One of the reasons was I was actually embarrassed to move it on the state it was in. But I'll explain a bit more about that in a moment. I'm just going to open this all up, which I can't do one-handed, and then I'll show you inside. Now, the basement moves away in one piece, which is good and bad. It does at least mean that you've got full access to the basement when you open it up. And when you open it up, inside you've got 2 rooms in the basement, 4 rooms in the main house, and then the attic space. Now, this wall, which isn't actually fitted in properly, doesn't fit properly, it doesn't go quite all of the way in, and then it overhangs a little bit, which means that the roof doesn't sit properly when it's in. But I don't know if I'll use that or make my own version to divide the attic space up if I decide to keep it. There's a jacuzzi in the attic because it won't fit in the basement, well, the outside basement bit. And there's also the chimneys, which had fallen off at some point in the past. The house and basement, I had to strip out flooring, carpet in 5 of the rooms. The living room, this one here, had a paper wood effect floor. That came up a lot easier. And then I had wallpaper to remove in that room and the 2 rooms in the basement. Now, it's currently furnished with bits of furniture that came out of my big house, just for no other reason than to get a sense of scale. Because it's far easier when you put a bed in a bedroom to see whether you've actually got room to furnish it. And that's what I've done. I've just brought a few pieces and played around with it a bit to see how it could work. Now, if I do decide to keep it, obviously, I'm going to want to divide the attic up a bit because that's a big space to have as one room. I am thinking of putting in a wall approximately where this piece of felt ends. So then I'd have 2 bedrooms on the first floor. I may turn part of the attic into a bathroom, or I may leave the bathroom in the basement. Not sure yet, it depends on how it all goes. And then, as I say, in the basement, that bathroom room is far too big for a bathroom. I'd be looking at splitting that probably, if I come in a bit closer, around about 2/3, just over, a bit over half. The bigger space for the bathroom with the door at the back, and then this space is some kind of utility space because I'd still be able to get things like a washing machine in there. At least that's sort of the thought. This is the house that I had an idea that wasn't going to be fit for YouTube, that I was wondering how I would manage it, because I'm sure there are people that would be interested in it, but it's not really YouTube friendly. I don't know if that's what I'm going to do or if I'm going to go for something else, but that is the other thing I've been working on. It's not at home. This is why the sound might be a bit off on this, because I forgot to bring my external microphone, and I'm relying on the internal microphone as I'm filming. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I've scraped out floors, I've scraped out walls, and if I do work on it, I will be putting a fake floor down, piece of cardboard of some cardstock, rather thinner cardstock, with my choice of flooring on top of, just because it then becomes far easier if at some point in the future you want to change it. I'm probably also going to have to line the walls that were wallpapered, because I don't know what was used, but it stuck well. Not as well as the self-adhesive carpet. These rooms were done with the self-adhesive Dolls carpet, and that stuff is an absolute swine to get up. You can actually see here where it has pulled off a layer of the MDF. Yeah, not good. Not good at all. But anyway, now you know what else I've been working on. So, foliage, tiny scene, and birthday. That and the house that isn't really begun yet are what's new. As I've said, I've been lacking a bit of time for doing things miniature wise. I've also been lacking some enthusiasm. It's got to be said. I've not got much enthusiasm for anything at the moment, but I'm trying. And hopefully I'm going to be back soon with some more fun stuff. I want to start making bits for my treehouse, and I'm hoping that because that is a different project, that's going to inspire me. The weather's getting better. I've got the paint. Hopefully I'm going to be able to finish the dining room furniture, and then I'll feel for the big house, and then I'll feel a bit more inclined to move on to a different room. I know which room I think I'm going to move on to. I think I know. Not 100% sure. It's one of those. But hopefully you've enjoyed this little glimpse into what's going on. And I'll be back with something far more interesting very, very soon. So, until next time, bye.